duty, honor, country. Those three holy words reverently dictate what you ought to be, what can you be, what will you be. They are your rallying point to build courage when courage seems to fail. To regain faith when there seems to be cause for faith. To create hope when hope becomes forlorn. These famous words were spoken by General Douglas MacArthur when receiving the Thayer Award in 1962, after an inspiring career in the United States Army. Duty, honor, country, until had been the motto of the United States Army. The National Guard is the oldest component of the United States military, dating all the way back to 1636. It is an important piece of the military reserve and serves the country in numbers of ways. It is a vital part of the U.S. military and has unique challenges and opportunities. The National Guard is an important part of ensuring the safety of communities, the country, and our overseas interests. Some of the challenges that the National Guard soldiers face include balancing a full-time job while serving part-time, a lack of resources in the National Guard, and a growing discontentment. Some of the unique opportunities that the National Guard soldiers face including the ability to lead mostly civilian life, the chance to serve primarily in their own state, and a freedom to pursue other interests beyond a military career. The National Guard is struggling with low recruitment, limited resources, and a competition with other branches of the armed military. It is important to see the value of the National Guard and to preserve its important role in protecting communities, our country, and our overseas interests.
John, I just wanted to tell you how proud I am of you. I was just thinking how fast time flies. In a very short time, I've watched you grow up from a boy to a strong, solid young man. And I just want to say how proud of you I am. And had the privilege of spending a lot of time with you the last 4 years. I was thinking about that. I think I've spent more time with you than anybody else on planet Earth, including my wife. It's been a privilege and a pleasure. And I've seen the Lord stretch you and grow you and mature you and kind of break out of your shy shell a little bit and just see the Lord work in your life. And it's been a great thing. And I was thinking back to some of my favorite times of us working together and just seeing you worship, singing to the Lord. And we were commuting in the truck, and one year we went through the whole Bible front to back. So I don't know many people who've done that, to be honest, and you've already been through it once, and I hope that's the first of many for you in your life, and that you will make that a intentional, daily, deliberate thing to worship the Lord and to be an ever-growing student of Him through His Word. So I just wanted to encourage you that, and just to be and stay strong in the Lord, okay? Proud of you, buddy. Got a couple questions. I know the idea of the armed forces has always interested you. My question is what drew you to the National Guard rather than like the Air Force, for example, or another branch of the military?
That's a great question. I like how the National Guard helps with local communities and crises such as natural disasters. I like the opportunities to serve overseas if there is a war. I also like that the National Guard can also live at home or near family, or it doesn't have to, or rather than live in a military base.
Okay. So that out of those, what appeals most to you about the National Guard? What do you like the best about it?
I like the way the National Guard trains you to serve people rather than yourself.
Okay. Could you please read your thesis statement?
Yeah. The National Guard is an important part of ensuring the safety of communities, the country, and our overseas interests.
Okay. What is your strongest proof supporting this thesis?
On page 7, I talked about how the National Guard has served in pretty much every war that has involved America since the 1600s. This is a faithful service record that is pretty impactful for me.
Awesome. After doing all your research, did your opinion shift?
No, not really.
Okay. What do you see as the most important aspect of the National Guard?
I think it's pretty cool how the National Guard serves in many different ways. They might support local law enforcement, help with natural disasters, serve in overseas wars, partner with other branches of the military, and help with rescue missions.
In reading your paper, I was impressed with ways that the National Guard helps with relief in natural disasters. In your mind, what are some of the most important missions that the National Guard undertakes?
I think the way that National Guard partners with other branches of the government, and it's pretty important. The National Guard goes where the needs are.
So assisting other branches. Okay. After your research and writing this paper, knowing what you know now, do you still want to serve in the National Guard?
Yes, but maybe not for another year or two. This fall, I'm planning to enrolling in an alert program. It's a Christian military discipleship training program for 3 different phases. I think it's important for me to get a solid biblical training before I join the National Guard.
That's awesome. Thanks for your responses, John.
Thanks. Yeah, John, this was a very informative, well-researched paper. I really enjoyed reading it. There's a lot of history there that I had no clue about, even though I have been interested in military topics for quite a while. It is an often forgotten branch in the military. A lot of people don't even really think about the National Guard. Luckily in Missouri, it's very active, our National Guard. I've really only got one question. I got one statement too. On page 9, you made a really good, in the middle, you made a comment that's really profound, that struck me in particular. And I'll tell you why. The National Guard members are often called up to serve on a full-time basis for an emergency or deployed internationally to serve their country. So they're called up on a full-time basis during an emergency. Well, the Missouri National Guard serves the state of Missouri. And so they get called up for tornadoes frequently, earthquake, if you imagine it ever goes. But the big one is to think about is that a tornado could go through Burns Mill, it could go through Hillsborough, or go through DeSoto. And if it's severe enough, they'll call up the National Guard. And so the men and women that serve in the Guard are going to, it's very potential that their own house or their own family members' houses are damaged or destroyed. And when they get called by the Guard, they go. That's why they're heroes. That's the huge dedication. So it's just kind of something to keep in the back of everybody's mind is that that they're making a commitment to serve the people, and even sometimes, rarely, but it can happen, of their own families. So I really like this paper because you really put a spotlight on that, and like I said, it is an often forgotten part of the military. The only so yeah, I think you touched on the same things. What appealed to you about this topic?
I'm interested in the military, especially the National Guard. Interests me because I like the idea of living as a citizen and having a job but still serving my country. I want my life to be marked by duty and honor in country. Two things stood out to me. The inspirational quote by General Douglas MacArthur, which at the beginning I read out. It's really stuck to me. The second one is the National Guard has so many different opportunities to learn and serve And on page 7 of my paper it says, the service members also have opportunities to pursue office training with many different chances to lead in branches such as infantry, armor, cyber, field artillery, air defense, artillery, aviation, and corps, and engineering. Individuals who have interest and experience in healthcare and law or ministry.
One more statement I'd like to make, kind of building on what y'all have said as well. John, you had opened and closed the paper speaking of duty and honor. And when I think of duty, I think of a moral responsibility, and honor meaning highly respected and seeking to always do what is right. And these are some of the traits I see the Lord cultivating in you. As you're always ready to assist and lend a helping hand. And I just think it's really great. I just want to encourage you.
Civilian peace, soldier and war, of security and honor, for 3 centuries I've been the custodian, I am the guard. At Concord's Bridge, I fired a fateful shot heard around the world. I bled on Bunker Hill. My footprints marked the snows of Valley Forge. With Washington on the heights of Mount Yorktown, I saw the sword surrendered. I am the guard. These things I know. I was there. I saw both sides of the war between the states. I was there. The hill at San Juan felt the fury of my charge. The far plains and mountains of the Philippines echoed to my shout. In France, the dark forests of Argonne blazed a my barrage. A Catatua crumbled to my cancade. I am the guard. I bowed briefly on the grim road of Bataan. Through the jungles and on the beaches, I fought the enemy, beat, battered, and broken down. I scrambled on Normandy's beach. I was there. I flew the MiG, allied to the yellow. I am the guard. I fought the skies of Vietnam. I was there in the skies on the ground. I made the Arabian desert feel the fury of the storm. I am the guard. Civilian, peace, soldier, and war. Stricken, have I known the comfort of my skill? I faced forward the tornado, the typhoon, or horror of the hurricane, and on flood, saw the tall towers fall. I was there. I'm the guard. For 3 centuries, the custodian of security, and honor. Now and forever, I'm the guard.
So I have a question for you, John. And we hadn't talked about this previously, so I hope I don't catch you off guard. But I see in you a deep desire to be a man of honor, and to be a man of courage, and to be a man who runs towards danger instead of running away from danger. And some people here probably heard the story in the fall. Our ridiculous dog ate one of our goats, and this dead, bloody, torn up goat is like in our lake, and Paul's out of town, and I'm dealing with the awful dog, and then I have to go deal with the awful dead goat. And John kind of caught wind of what was going on, and I didn't want to deal with it, but I also didn't want to ask anyone else to have to deal with it. And you came to me and you said, Mom, I'll take care of that goat for you. And you did, and you dragged the dead carcass out of the water and dragged it out to the woods, and you did that. And I was like, wow, that's manhood. That's what a man does. He goes towards the ugly thing to deal with it. He walks into danger. He's unafraid of the hard. And so I saw that in you in the fall, and I told you that, but I'm also acknowledging it here. And I guess, so the question I would have for you is, can you name, are there men in your life that have helped inspire that desire to be courageous and to be bold and to run towards danger and to do the hard things? Who are some of the men in your life that have inspired you?
I guess my Sudan, Papa, and my dad.
Now, no one's I don't want to swim in our lake anymore.
It was a while ago.
John, you've always been a man of few words, but God made you very strong. And when you have that kind of strength and that power and ability, it can be used one of two ways. And I look at it like there are wolves in this world and there are sheepdog. And there are a lot of sheep. And sheep can be taken advantage of. They can be maligned. They can be hurt. And it's up to those who have the strength to step in and to do something about it. And you can fall in one of two camps very easily. And I've always encouraged and wanted to see you be the sheepdog who stands in the gap and comes alongside and protects the weak. And I'm proud of you because I've watched you become that man, and I know that God's going to continue to shape you into that person as He changes your heart and aligns it with Him. So my question is, when you pursue the National Guard, if that's what the Lord leads you to after this military, Christian thing that you're doing next year, if that's where you're heading, how do you think you're going to be able to be that sheepdog and protect those who need help if you're going to be in the National Guard? Are there things that you can imagine in the future that you want to be able to do to protect those who need help? Like if a hurricane goes into maybe another state, and they call it the National Guard in Missouri, and you go to how do you feel like you're going to be able to help? Or the tornado, you guys were at prom, and let's say the tornado hit down in Fenton and destroyed a bunch of houses. How do you feel like you're going to be able to help those who need help? Like if you're in the Guard, what do you think that you're going to be able to do?
I guess get everyone to get out as fast as you can and be the last person out.
God built into you two attributes that I've watched from the very beginning that were honed in the streets of the Philippines in your life. The first one is your extraordinary capacity to be aware of everything that goes on around you. You see stuff that nobody else sees, and it usually is tied to a danger point or something you see that might come into harm's way. The second thing is your mom brought up is you don't just walk into danger, you run into it. And those are things that you don't learn, and you'd be hard pressed to train because they're instincts. And you've always had that. And I've always been pretty amazed by that, because courage is a thing you've either got it or you don't, and nobody knows until it's time. And I think in your short life you saw more instances where danger was your everyday life than any of us in this room's ever going to know. And I think that's what also gives you a huge capacity for compassion. And that's because you know what happens if somebody like you doesn't show up. So I don't have a question. It's more of a statement and an observation. And that I love you dearly because God gave you to us. And I'm really proud of you, like your dad said, for all the same reasons. Because you will be that sheepdog. You'll be the guy on the hill, and you'll be the guy that's watching and standing on the wall like Nehemiah. That's what guys do, and they're not born every day.
I just wanted to say really quickly to affirm everything that your loved ones have been saying about you. I've had the blessed privilege of being on the just one day a week, getting to know you side of it. But one thing that I notice is the integrity. Everything that they have said about you, I've also witnessed. You have great integrity. You do things openly and honestly. And many times you've come to my help as well when I needed you. And Francie and I were making faces at each other because everything that Papa was saying over there, we're like, yes, we know that. And it's so good that the life we live privately is also done publicly. Well done, John.